So the expedition you guys just came back from, this is way more shallower in the Darien. You weren't close to Colombia. This was
Yes,
more inland into Panama.
right. But these are the two routes that people have used in the last 6, 7 years
Mm,
to come from Colombia through the jungle into Panama.
gotcha.
So there's a possibility that there are people, kidnapping or like raping, because we have reports of people abusing others. Probably not Colombia, maybe Panamanians, but there's danger in those
Yeah.
routes. Like you get to a point, like in this case, we went to Canaan. Beyond Canaan, there's what they call Dos Altos.
Mm,
That's the last point where, like, once you cross that point, the border patrol tells you you are on your own. If you get kidnapped, we can't do anything for you. So, and we're talking, I don't know, 3, 4 days walking through the jungle
yeah.
to get to the next checkpoint.
So there's a big gap where if anything happens, no one can come save you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a big gap.
So just being in that area where you guys were, there's a risk for just besides the mosquito-borne disease, the cartel activity.
Yeah, I'm not so much. I mean, I'm probably not the person to talk about this because I'm not really knowledgeable about cartels, but there's a group of people, uh, doing all this kind of bad things. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know if they're cartels, and again, if they're Colombians or Panamanians, but there's a lot of risk. Like beyond that point, those 2 points, Bajo Chiquito and Canaan, anything can happen
Yeah.
basically, and you are in your own. Like if anything happens, you basically. I've heard stories about people getting kidnapped just to carry uh, equipment. They
Hmm.
get kidnapped for 5 years just to carry stuff.
To be a human mule,
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah.
exactly. And then they release you. Some of them get released, others I don't know.
Yeah.
But basically, they want people to help them to carry their stuff through the
Mhm.
jungle.
So
That's one thing.
so you said walking up to this community where you were at in the Darien,
Mhm.
that you guys just came back from, you described it as going back in time. What does it look like? How were the indigenous people's attitudes towards you? What were you seeing? What was the conversation like? Like just to set the scene for walking up to this community for the most recent expedition.
Well, when I said walking back in time, is because you see in a lot of these communities the materials that they use to build their homes. The wood and they don't have like metal roofs and stuff like that. They don't have water systems, portable water systems in these places that they can use to drink water and to like shower on a regular basis. They go to the river and basically do most of their
Hmm.
needs, their necessities. They do it in the river, and so um, we are seeing now changes because of the economic revenue that created the migration across those regions. Uh, Migrants, locals, indigenous communities provide services to migrants. They charge migrants to transport them from those towns out of the river system, for example, and they charge them a lot of money. And so
Mm.
you see now that there's like improvement on a house basis, and certain families are getting
Hmm.
better at like. But yeah, what I say when I say back in time is because you're back in the jungle. So if you think about growing up in Panama back in the 80s, uh, the jungle was like 1, 2, 3 kilometers out of the city.
Hmm.
The jungle was here. Now you got to go there to see the jungle.
Yeah.
So it was like going back in time because we grew up here in Panama City. I come from a neighborhood called Chorrillo, which is one of the most enigmatic neighborhoods in
Hmm.
Panama City. But we had the jungle right
Hmm.
next door, and so now you got to drive all the way to there to be able to see that jungle.
Yeah.
And so and yeah, and so Panama has a lot of indigenous communities, tribes. We have at least 9 different groupings. This particular group I really like working with because they're so welcoming and so helpful, and it's different. I don't want to name other groups, but with other groups, it's really tough to work with
Yeah. They're not
them.
always as
They're
welcoming or
Yeah,
understanding.
exactly. And so with the Embera we have worked beautifully for 5 years now,
Mhm.
and it's been really helpful. They're willing to participate. They know that the research is going to help them in the long term, and so yeah, so it's quite smoothly and educational for us as well. And
So they have an understanding of why you guys are there and what you're trying to accomplish, and they're fully on board with the research and everything like that.
yes, um, not only that, they I think they understand that we want to help them. Like
Mm.
we're really there because we think we can help them,
Yeah.
and so we help them economically sometimes, but it doesn't feel like they need you to like pay them or something.
Yeah.
They will be willing to to collaborate, even if you don't necessarily pay. If you just pay for whatever the cost the trip is, they'll be fine. But
Mm.
I have really bad experiences with other tribes. They always want to take advantage. Like
Mm.
they feel like you're not doing anything beneficial to them, and you just want to take advantage of, you know, their heritage or their culture,
Is
and
that a communication
that's
barrier,
not the case.
or like are you, because I know they speak different dialects. Are you able to communicate to the other indigenous groups why you're there and how you'll help them, and they still are not on board with it? Or do you think that the barrier of communication is a reason why the other tribes haven't been as understanding?
There is a barrier to communicate with certain people in each of those different indigenous groupings, but because all of us speak Spanish, you can't communicate with all of them.
Okay.
So I don't think like, and they have people, well educated people. I remember, and this is just a story that I had, another project that we had in
Yeah.
Bocas del Toro. We were working in this Nove Bugle indigenous tribe, and I had an assistant, like kind of like we have with Franklin, another assistant from the Ebera community, and he helped us for like 2 weeks. He was working same thing Franklin did, helping us in several things, and then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, right, and he starts speaking in German,
Mm.
and I'm like, wait, like you speak German?
And this is an indigenous
Indigenous
guy. Yeah.
guy without shoes, walking barefoot with us.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I did my master's in Frankfurt." And I'm like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, I did my master in social science." And
Wow.
I'm like, "All right." So never judge a book by its cover, because yeah. So they have well educated people, and they understand. They understand. They well organized. Every time you go to
Yeah.
these towns, they want to hear what the project is about, and they want you to explain really what are the benefits. And so they
Yeah.
know, but I don't know, for some reason they think that this is not really like on their benefits.